Okay, guys, I have to admit, I have a huge problem. Look at behind me. They say the quickest path to recovery is first admitting that you have a problem. What? I can't stop buying chainsaws. That's all it's to it. But every time I say that I'm going to leave a saw stock, it doesn't. It doesn't stay stock. I don't know what to do with myself. And who needs more modified chainsaws? People always tell me that all the saws always do the same exact thing. They all cut wood. So why do you need to modify them? Why do you need another one? Modified. Don't know if it works. Modified. Stock. Haven't run it because, well, I need to work on it. Modified. 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 Stock, but it's my kids. Stock, but it's my kids. Stock again, but it's my kids. Oh, modified. What am I going to do with myself? It's exceedingly annoying when someone talks about something when they don't have direct first-hand experience with it, and that's why I bought my 500i. Another saw that I talk about constantly as being a best value and the saw that you should get if you just want to get some work done is the Echo 590 Timberwolf. It's no secret, most people are non-enthusiasts and just want a chainsaw to get some work done, put some fire in the stove, and get the job done. And I consistently see in the comments people say, what's the point of modifications? Why get bigger when this saw works just as fine or this saw does well? I hear you, and I have a purchase sitting right behind me. We're going to go over, we're going to take a quick look at it, and then we're going to go cut. My normal viewers know that I get all of my saws from sawsuppliers.com. These guys right here, because we have fantastic discounts. But this saw didn't come from Saw Suppliers. I've consistently said, as do many others, that the 590 Timberwolf is the best saw out there for the person that just needs to get the job done, not break the bank, have a 5-year consumer warranty, and have a good, reliable tool. Made in Japan, and a heck of a deal. I mentioned that this was not purchased from sawsuppliers.com, and the only reason why is I had a friend that had purchased a return pallet that had multiple things, so I believe this is likely a Home Depot return. It's even got the person's address on the side. So really, I don't know what to expect. Sometimes people do some pretty shady things, but this one looks like it looks pretty good. And again, the reason why I did not purchase it from sawsuppliers.com, the best place to purchase really any outdoor power equipment, whether it be Echo, Husqvarna, or Stihl, using my discount code OAKIE10, OAKIE10, this saw would come in at, as it's configured with this 20-inch bar, at $479. You subtract 10% off of there. It's a heck of a deal. And again, the reason why I purchased this saw from my friend versus Saw Suppliers is, well, I was able to trade some parts to him, do a little bit of horse trading, and that's just a good deal for both of us. And I don't think Saw Suppliers would appreciate my miscellaneous chainsaw parts. Anyway, let's keep looking. I don't think this thing's ever been fueled except for at the factory. We'll take a look at it together. I've never owned one of these. I've owned its professional big brother right here, the 620p. These are quite a bit more powerful, but they are more expensive. They have a few upgrades, but that's not what this is about. This is the bargain saw that I think really most people need. You get your standard fare of user manuals, the saw, chain, Timberwolf branded Oregon bar, by the way. This says Echo on it, but Oregon does produce these. And a sheath. I actually really like having these when I'm transporting saws, so I hang on to them. A lot of people are going to be wondering, Joe, why did you need another saw? Why did you need another saw? Well, I legitimately needed another saw, and no, it's not just for a video. Now, I will tell you that that had some motivation in this purchase, but there is actually a major reason why I wanted this. And well, the other day when Dustin was here, we were talking about, you know, we were running his ported Husqvarna 545, And you know, we were playing with this echo up here. And the thing is I have a tractor with a saw sheath on it, and I want to be able to have a saw with me, and I don't want it to be a modified saw all the time. The reason for that is sometimes when you're working, you just need to jump off and make a single cut to clear the road, or to, you know, take a little limb off of a log or something like that. And well, you know, I don't know about you, but I don't necessarily get all of my hearing protection on and everything, and these things make your ears ring in a hurry. Now, you should always follow everything in that instruction manual. Suit up, eye protection, ear protection, and all of that. My favorite eye protection is these. The only negative is that when it's bright outside, it's like you're having sunglasses, which I guess isn't a negative, but in the dimming hours of the day, it does feel like you have sunglasses on. But these are great because they do not fog up, and they do great for protecting my eyes. I like them, at least. So again, I want this to be able to throw onto the tractor, not for just going and having a whole bunch of firewood cutting sessions, but rather as a utilitarian saw that isn't just going to rip. I mean, it's going to rip, it's going to cut wood. And I also need to ask a big favor of you all. If I start talking about modifying this saw, please reach through the internet and smack me across the head, because I don't need another modified Echo. Guys, I love my Echo saws. This is just one of those, I just want it to be a good, reliable, relatively quiet gasoline chainsaw that I can throw in the back of the truck or in the trailer without it bouncing around, damaging something that's of high value. This is a great tool. Now, I'm talking about it in a sense of just something I don't care that much about. Well, that's the average chainsaw user. Have you seen the saws that sit in the back of trucks and literally look like they've gone through a war? Mine don't generally look like that, but many people's do, and that's how they view them. So that's what this saw is for to me. And admittedly, I'm not necessarily the best at maintenance. Guys, most of my saws have original spark plugs in them because I use them until they don't work. That's just it. And frankly, I don't have a lot of failures. Now, again, refer to your manuals. And I also do split a lot of the hours on my saws between a bunch of them. So probably what I'm going to have happen is have a whole bunch wear out and need maintenance all at the same time. And I'm talking about fuel filters and spark plugs as wearing out. I'm not talking about the whole saw wearing out. Very simple inboard clutch, like many people love. The thing is, on this saw right here, I think a comparative saw would be the 460 Rancher and maybe the Stihl 291. I'm not real good with all those numbers. Guys, those are great saws too. They're just quite a bit more expensive. Share below if I'm on the right track or if I've got things completely messed up. The adjuster is in the cover versus in the saw, so if you've only ever had steel chainsaws, that's going to be a little bit of a difference for you. It's not a real big deal, it's just different. Standard bar nuts. Very simple. It's just a simple saw. Comes with the scratch. If you're new to chainsaws, this isn't going to be a full safety video. Make sure you get yourself acclimated and familiarized. It's really important to wear chaps. Keep yourself out of the way of this chain as you're cutting. Make sure you keep it sharp. If you get it dull and it stops cutting, you gotta stop. You will ruin your saw. It doesn't matter what brand you have. Another thing you'll notice here is as I tighten up this bar, I'm picking up on the back side of the saw. What I'm doing is I'm putting weight on the nose here. And I'm going to go ahead and just lightly snug that up. And I want to see if it rotates smoothly, everyone. Okay? Guys, use your best judgment. I don't have any tips or trick. I've heard things like you can put a nickel under here, you know, whatever. Just don't make it banjo tight and don't have it falling off. Now, this is going to get looser the first time I run it. The chain is going to kind of break in and People call it stretch. I just think that the links probably get a little bit more slop in them. I guess that would be probably the stretch. It's not the metal stretching, I don't think. Also, there's paint on these bars, and so that will wear, and this will just start rotating more smoothly. These saws come with the 72 LPX. It's a full chisel chain. This doesn't have fuel and oil in it, but these are actually a little bit lighter than the 620p because of the plastic side cover and the plastic handle. If you're here, you probably might be aware of this saw, and a lot of people try to bounce around like they're trying to figure out, is this going to be better or this? Guys, if you're not an enthusiast and you're a casual cutter, and frankly, this would do everything that I need to do here on my property, you don't necessarily need a 620p unless you're the kind of person that just says a little bit bigger, a little bit better, and a little bit more money isn't going to hurt. We'll put fuel and oil in it, and fingers crossed everything goes well, because this again was a return. In fact, let me just real quickly make sure there's an air cleaner in here. You know, people do some crazy stuff. Yeah, this thing has 0 time on it. 0 time. Everything looks completely untouched to my eye. This is exactly what I purchased it for, to throw it on the side of the tractor. I'm tripping and falling. See that right there? I don't need my hottest of saws to go for a ride with me as I do little bits of maintenance down the road. If I have a neighbor that needs a little bit of help moving something, you know, a guy's doing some clearing down there, he said I could have some logs. Well, frankly, if I just need to go down there and just trim something real quick because it's too long or whatever, that's perfect. I have a little bit of oak I want to cut up here. This log right here, we're going to do a farm task with it. That's no good for firewood. And then I've got some pine I want to cut up right here. This is just firewood pine. Those are potential saw logs because I'm hoping to have my sawmill set up real quickly. And then these right here are firewood pines. This is all assuming the saw starts, which I think it will. I hope so. It was a return, but I could tell it didn't have any fuel and oil in it ever from a customer or anything. I have been to the Echo factory. I'm not sponsored by Echo. It looks like I am, but I'm not. I've been up there in Lake Zurich, Illinois. Most of their equipment is made in the United States, and things like this is a Japanese saw. They do not assemble these here in the United States, but a majority of the equipment is made in the United States or assembled of primarily Japanese components, if I understood them correctly. I did mount my laser on it. You certainly don't need to have that, but since this is going to be, well, what this saw is for, I'm not going to go and intentionally fell a bunch of trees with it or do a whole bunch of clearing. I have saws that I would rather run for that. That's just because I have the luxury of having a lot of saws. It's not saying that this saw can't do it. With the money you save using my discount code OKI10, make sure you check out the chain. If you buy them in packs of 3 or more, what happens is a discount's applied. Bars are similar. Echo Red Armor is the best value there, and they've also had a really good price on some Stihl files recently that I saw. This saw does not have a purge or a primer bulb. We have a choke, switch on and off. This saw does have a decomp, but it is my opinion that these saws, I think this actually makes them start harder, in my opinion. Now, this is cold start. We were 28 degrees. We're probably about 35 or so right now, maybe close to 40. So we're going to give it a go. Oh, shoot. I probably flooded it, guys. Shooting YouTube videos doesn't always go as planned. I think I flooded it by pulling it over too many times on choke. Anyway, nothing like making me look like a fool. This thing feels like it runs really well. Oh man. Chain loosened up right away. I'll go ahead and give it a tightening, put on some safety gear, and we'll get to cutting. I'm using this laser because I'm really picky about how long my wood is, but you certainly don't need to do that. First cut. Gonna let it warm up. Feels a little bit cold. For my regular viewers, that's probably not extremely exciting to watch. But the reality is a lot of people think that cutting wood is mundane. I myself really enjoy it. So, is this saw particularly exhilarating? The answer is no, but it's absolutely utilitarian, and that's what most people are looking for in a chainsaw. I think that this strikes a balance between capability and power. Chain is still good and sharp. Everything looks good. Looks like we're getting oil. Let's go ahead and do some noodling here. You might ask why you'd want to cut something like that. It's because these rounds are really heavy. This round is slightly oversized. Let's go ahead and I'll try to cut it. That was fairly impressive. What's cool about these 590s is you can put a 24-inch bar, or they sell them with a 24-inch. I think that's a great size. Honestly, I got this with a 20 because that's what my friend had. But I think 20 inch is a good size. But to a lot of people that say you can do everything with a 20-inch, that's absolutely true. I just think things like this are a little bit easier with a little bit more length. Now there's only one way to find out if this is the only chainsaw a person needs, is does it do basic farm tasks? This was a log that was included with a bunch that I grabbed, and I just simply don't want to bother with it. It's too punky. But you've got to be able to dispose of it. Some people will say, hey, but the log is rotten. Of course it cuts easy. Well, this is the deal. I can't karate chop it. So I think that Echo is going to do a good job. I leaned it out on the high jet and it got a lot better. I just couldn't go inside and leave a couple of those logs uncut. So who is the Echo CS590 for? I think it's for the person that wants a no-nonsense affordable saw with a 5-year warranty. I mentioned earlier that they were made in Japan or the United States. I don't know what year this is because I got this secondhand new. I don't have a clue what it is, but this actually says assembled in USA, but I'm pretty sure my 620s say Japan. Either way, you really can't beat that. They employ a lot of people up in Lake Zurich, Illinois, and have a top-notch facility up there. They even mold plastics. It's really cool. Make sure you check out that video. If you've never seen the channel before, my family and I live in rural Oklahoma. We're developing it. We built our home a few years back. My wife and 2 boys are very involved in the whole process. Now we are undergoing a ton of projects. Now, I'm doing a bunch of tree removals because we're doing some land clearing because I'm building a large shop and a garage. Is this going to be a saw that I use a majority of the time in that job? The answer is probably not. That kind of goes against everything that I was just saying, that it's a perfect chainsaw because it's all you need. Well, the reality is I have a large selection of saws because you could call me an enthusiast. It's just that I've got other ones and I'm going to be zipping stuff up. Now, if I dull some chains because the dozer's going to be pushing trees over and all of that, maybe I will just go grab this. It may make an appearance here and there. It's certainly capable. Now, these saws, Echo fans will tell you, 10 to 15 tanks, they really loosen up. The tolerances are very tight on them. It probably could use some adjustments. Guys, I pulled this out of the box. I totally messed up on the start. It actually harkens back to when my son got his brand new 3410, wasn't paying attention, and did the same thing on that, flooded it. And I just have so many saws, from electronic Stihl saws with computers, Husqvarna saws with computers. I just wasn't thinking. This saw has easily started every time since. In fact, let's go ahead and do it again. Hot start. You just can't beat that. No special hot start procedures or anything like that. 5-year warranty. The saw is a nice saw. It's relatively smooth to run. It's not extremely light, but like I said earlier, you can put a 24-inch bar on it. Why would you quarter rounds like this? Well, sometimes wood doesn't split. If it's crotch pieces, if it is sycamore, gum, stuff like that, or what other species you have, share down below if you're in another region of the world. I know Australia has got some pretty wild stuff. If you've got some unsplittable wood, or you just simply don't have the ability to split it because it's just too large, this can make that happen, and it doesn't have to break the bank. I've got saws that cost close to $2,000. This is, less than $450 when you factor in my discounts. So is it going to be as beautiful along the way? Is it going to be as fun along the way? The answer is no. But the reality is not everyone wants a Corvette. Not everyone wants a Ferrari. Not everyone wants a Porsche. Some people just want a Toyota Camry. These are a workhorse that'll get the job done. And would I say that this is the only saw a person might need? If you could only have one saw and you have some decent size bits of wood to cut, I will still put my name to suggesting a 590 Timberwolf is a best value. Did I want to buy this? The answer is not necessarily a lot. I did not really want to buy this. I have plenty of other saws, but I did mention I also want to leave this stock so I can throw it on the tractor, because not everything needs to be a race. Sometimes you only need to cut 2 or 3 cuts. There's no reason to get one of my fancy ported, wild, obnoxious saws that I love so much out just to cut some dirty wood. Guys, if I've got a root to cut or something that, is just a task that sometimes you got to do but you don't want to on a sharp chain, this is the saw for it. That's all it's to it. If you think this might be a little too large and too heavy for you, make sure you check out my video with the Echo CS 3410 and 3510. I purchased those for my 2 boys. They have interest in cutting. They've watched me a lot. They have done it in the past themselves. We just do a lot of training sessions and cookie cutting sessions, but make sure you watch those saws, because if you want something very lightweight and you don't need to do stuff like this, but rather just like the pine that we started with, those saws would be totally sufficient. But this is for the person that has an occasional larger wood or a lot of wood to cut, even if it's a little smaller. A big saw is going to work less hard. If this is your first time here, we'd love for you to join us. Our content is going to be broadening out over time. We're still going to do a lot with chainsaws and other woodworking. I have a sawmill like I mentioned earlier, and we just have a lot to share with you. Make sure you check out the upcoming construction videos. I think those are going to be very interesting. We're going to be sharing prices, we're going to be sharing plans, we're going to be sharing bids, we're going to be sharing the process along the way, and we'd love for you to join us. Thank you for watching the Okie Woodsman channel, and we'll see you on the next one.